Hello, and welcome to your judge training video for this round of the competition. I want to first start off with some thanks. Thank you for devoting your time to this activity and for lending us your expertise in the evaluation of these role plays. Without you, this whole competition would not be possible, so we really do appreciate your help in this process. The students you're about to watch have spent countless hours over many, many weeks preparing for these role plays. Their faculty also devote a lot of time to coaching them. This is in addition to the regular coursework and course load for both faculty and students. Because of that, we do ask that you give these videos your full attention. It is very important to the process. And again, your help is greatly appreciated in the evaluation of these videos. One main difference with this competition is that students will follow a potential lead all the way through the process, starting with needs identification, presenting to intermediate decision makers, and finally to a top executive decision. Take a look at the score sheets that are in front of you. You will note that the needs ID portion is much more heavily weighted than the presentation part. This is because the objective of this round is more focused on needs identification. The role play you're about to watch is 15 minutes in length, and the salesperson should spend that time focusing on whether their company's solution can help this prospect by identifying the prospect's main issues. Let's go over the evaluation sheet in a little more detail. At the opening of the meeting, the student should provide a professional introduction and build some rapport with the potential prospect. They should explain the purpose for this meeting and the goals for the next 15 minutes. Then the student should smoothly transition over into the needs identification phase, rather than just abruptly going straight to questions. Let's look a little more closely at the needs identification part of the role play. First, at some point, the student should uncover the decision process, which has three main parts. They should see what criteria would be important to this decision, what people would be involved in this decision process, and will there be any timing issues that might come up. The student should also determine any relevant facts that pertain to his or her product that they're selling that would be relevant about this company or buyer. The student should, at some point, get a good understanding of what the prospect's main issues are or problems. They should also ask about the effect of these problems. We sometimes call that pain. So, what problems or challenges arise because of the issues that they're having? And the student should also find out what gains could be made if the prospect could alleviate these issues. Finally, the student should summarize what they've uncovered and ask the customer if, given these problems, they want to hear more about a potential solution. We call this gaining pre-commitment. There are also some sheets provided to you that list the prospect's needs and concerns. We call this the buyer's script. Sometimes additional or different buying motives evolve during the conversation. It's just natural. It is more the process and technique that you are evaluating for the student rather than did they uncover those specific needs. The presentation part of the role play should be short but persuasive, making the buyer feel comfortable that the seller has a solution and that there should be a further meeting with others in the buyer's company. Keep in mind that this presentation should be a high-level presentation covering, in a general sense, some of the ways that the company might help. They should not get caught up in the specific ways that their product and solution would help each and every need that they've identified, because that is not the focus of this round. At some point, the customer will offer some sort of resistance. When they do, the student should do three simple things in overcoming those objections. At first, they should make sure they have a good grasp on what the objection is by either asking for more information or allowing the buyer to provide them more information. They should provide whatever answer is appropriate for that particular objection and settle it for that customer. And then finally, they should ask and confirm that that objection has in fact been settled, that the buyer is indeed no longer concerned about that issue. Somewhere toward the end of the role play, the student should be very persuasive before they ask for that commitment, presenting some sort of reasoning to commit to that next appointment. They should also ask for that appropriate commitment from the buyer given the nature of this particular sales call. Keep in mind, you are not evaluating whether or not the customer says yes or no. You are rather evaluating the student's persistence in pursuing that appropriate commitment from the buyer. Now, throughout the entire role play, we do want you to look at the student's communication skills. How well did they speak? Did they use appropriate grammar? Did they minimize filler words? Were they listening well? And that means providing active listening skills. Did they ask more information from the customer when more information was necessary? Did they paraphrase at times? And then finally, how were their nonverbal communications, their gesture, their posture? Did they add to the conversation? Did they detract? Were they even present at all? Finally, was the student knowledgeable about the product that they were selling? And did they seem knowledgeable about business in general throughout the process? Throughout the role play, did they show enthusiasm and display confidence? And finally, was the role play more of a flowing conversation rather than a hard script that the student was delivering? Again, you're asked to rate each one of these items on a 0 to 10 scale. Obviously 0 is if it was completely absent, but what would a 2 or a 6 or a 10 be for a student? Well, that's up to you. The most important thing is to remain consistent. If 2 students came in and delivered a very similar professional introduction, then the scores that you give for those 2 students should be very similar. If one was clearly much better than the other, then your scores should reflect that as well. After the first 3 role plays have completed, we will pause and let you level set across those 3 students. You may have put a 3 for the first student for one particular item, but after watching the last 2, you feel like that 3 should be much higher. Similarly, you may have rated the first 2 competitors very high on one particular aspect on the score sheet, but after seeing that last one, you might want to reconsider because you're now aware of how much better they could have performed. Once you're satisfied with the first 3 sets of scores, the room monitor will enter those scores and they will become permanent. After each subsequent video, the room monitor will collect and enter those scores as well. Once again, we do thank you for your time and lending us your expertise in the evaluation of these role play videos. Without you, this would not be possible. And we look forward to you mingling with these students after this round. Thanks again and happy viewing.